Oh, no, it's on. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's 6 o'clock, October 2nd, 2025. I call this meeting to order. The first thing on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and our new Truckee Meadows Fire Chief. Excuse me, can you have a determination of quorum? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I apologize. Okay. Would you please do the determination of a quorum?
Penny Brock,
Present.
George Franson,
Here.
Brad Stanley,
Here.
Nicole Harris.
Present.
Madam, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. And I just want to announce here that Eldafo Korea resigned. He is going to be on our big board up at UNR, so he felt he didn't have time to do both. So now we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by our new Truckee Meadows Fire Chief, Edwards.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Everyone, hopefully filled out. If you would like to speak, please fill out one of these forms. Everyone is allowed to speak one time for 3 minutes. There will also be another general public comment at the end of the meeting. So let me get these requests to speak. First is Kelly Hyatt.
I come up there, right?
Yes, and get a microphone, please.
Yeah, turn up the top of the top button.
Testing. Testing.
You have to push it in until the light turns on.
Hi, my name's Kelly Hyatt. The county on Gold Road, and so I believe that this community advisory board is important to me because I live in the county, not the city, and things that happen in the county matter to me. The last time I came here, a bunch of us were talking about the wild horse and the wildlife situation. Fences being built, specifically 2 different fences. You know, there's a city fence that's being built, and then there's the Department of Agriculture fence being built. And I want you to know that I am a wild horse advocate, and I want the fence because it's the only way for the public safety to be. Really, isn't it? There's no other way. I live on Toll Road right now. We've been very fortunate that this season, and I've been doing this for 13 years, we have a few horses coming down. The public safety is gonna be happening here. You know, we've got several horses. I mean, there's quite a few of them actually, if they decide to leave the safety of where they are, because now there's less food, things like that. They're going to be on Geiger Grade. They already are crossing. They're gonna be on South Virginia Street, maybe. They definitely are gonna be on Veterans, Rio Grande, whatever. So we asked you all to help us, to help the city figure out a way to make sure that the fence finishes getting built, and that all of the stakeholders, which I don't even really know what that is, am I a stakeholder? Because it matters to me and it matters to my friends that are now having higher fire danger where other fences have been built. So we asked you to help us, and apparently, you know, you did put together a committee, which is great. That committee, I know, has reached out to people, myself included. And so getting a picture or a satellite view of a proposed fence doesn't really help. You have to go, you have to go to where it is. And I know it like the back of my hand. I was able to figure out where they were gonna do it just by figuring out the way, and then I was fortunate enough to get the map. So I do know where it's gonna be, and I just would like to know what you all are gonna do to keep this going on. I am a little disappointed, honestly, I'm sorry to say, but I was on vacation last week. I went to Dead Horse Point, by the way, where horses were actually deprived of water 2,000 feet above the Colorado River, and they died. So now there's a monument to them. It's a fabulous, beautiful place, one of the most photographed places in the world. I came back, there was a letter that said, hey, you should go to this meeting, because it's gonna be really interesting, you're gonna find out about fence updates, fire updates. Now, I'm interested to see, how do you all get on the board? How do you become on the board? There's an election, I don't know, I don't think we're voting for that. What is it? I don't understand, so I really want to know more about how this goes, because right now I'm feeling that you're not representing us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next will be Pete. Is it Totteroff? I apologize, but is Pete? Oh, there's Pete. Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, I'm Pete Todoroff. Is this working? It's working. Okay. My name is Pete Todoroff. I came from Incline Village. I had to move down from Incline Village. I had a heart attack in 2020. So Mike Clark, our new commissioner, who's on our side, decided he wanted me to start what I did up in Incline Village. September 1st, 2017, down here. And that's a community forum. The community forum is something that I started in Incline that not limited to 3 minutes. We met every Friday and we're an action group. Talk about the horses. I'm really with the horses, like you. What can we do? We met, go out there and see exactly what needs to be done to take care of the horses. With the water, with the whatever has to be done. We went there as a group. I would go out there and see what has to be done. Put a watering trough out there for the horses. Whatever has to be done, we'll do it. And what time we met up there at the library every Friday, we met in the morning, may not work the same down here, but whatever you people want to decide when you want to meet, we met in the library. Like I said, if you want to meet at night, if you want to meet in the morning, whatever you people want to do, it's up to you. Mike wanted me to head it up. If that's what you want, I'll do it. I'm 82, I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I'll do it as long as my health holds up. I'm a veteran, but my health is not really that good. Like I said, I had to move down here because of a heart attack, but whatever you guys decide, I'll do it. But you just tell me what you want, when you want to meet, and we'll do it. More than 3 minutes, we'll do it. So it's up to you guys, how you want to do it. There's one person in the audience that knows me very well. And he knows I'm an action person. And if you guys want this, I'm here to do it and start it. Mike Clark said he wanted me to start it, and I'm here and ready to do it. It's up to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Iris, is it Jill Pepper?
Julie Pavard.
Okay, I apologize.
That's
Thank you,
okay.
Julie.
I'm not gonna take the mic. I'm pretty loud, so. I'm Iris Julie Papard. I'm a resident of South Reno in unincorporated Washoe County. And I am a wild horse advocate. I'm a wildlife advocate. I'm an open space advocate. I am all those things that we are so blessed to have right here. And I'm 100% in support of logic and being humane. And so it's really unfortunate to see the clashes that's happening. And I definitely appreciate the local jurisdictions that are stepping up to solve this with the community in the right way. And I call my senators on a weekly basis share my frustration with what the state ag is doing. And I look, to you guys and to the government, how do we get through to them? Because they're using our tax dollars to create problems. And not, obviously, it hits home with wildlife and with fire prevention and with an iconic symbol that stands for this. I mean, right up there, right? There they are. And do we just want to see them as pictures? Or do we really want to harness this asset that this region has? And so I just encourage us all to keep on squeaking and here to help be a solution for this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Lisa O'Sullivan, please. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Lisa O'Sullivan and thank you. I'll talk loud. And we bought our house in Steamboat Valley with the thought of having wild horses, and to my happiness, they came in and we ended up taking down all our fences because we have 19 acres and they graze it down and keep us, I believe they keep us more fire safe. And little did I know that in April of this year, the Nevada Ag Department was going to fence them way up on the hill and fence them out of our neighborhood. Many of my neighbors have open space for them to graze, and where they fenced them was not against the border of the homes. It was way like 3/4 up on this mountain, which the first thing my friend and I thought was, oh my gosh, why would anybody do something like that? Because they just put us in greater fire danger, not having any grazing animal. So we have been on a crusade to try to open up the 200, at least the 250 BLM acres that are no longer grazed, and just to make us safer. And we also need to work on water situation for the horses. There's no way they're gonna come into our valley, anywhere near our valley, if they don't have water. It's essential for life. I mean, they're getting fenced out of Steamboat, Pleasant Valley, Washoe Valley, and I was just saying, I don't even believe that the Washoe residents, most of them know where the ag fence is. It is way above the valley, leaving thousands of acres ungrazed now. With the winds we get, I just believe that we are in greater danger. I want to protect our horses. I want to protect our valley. So I'm hoping to join up with people that will come on this crusade with us and speak up, and let's do it. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is Colleen Winans.
Should be on, is it on?
Thank you. Can you hear me? I'm Colleen Winans. I'm also South Reno citizen. And thank you, board, for everything you do for us. In the last week, I've kind of had a few things come to my attention that I want to bring up. First of all, I'm a wild horse advocate also. Hopefully we can work this situation out so that they are protected. I'm also a free speech advocate. And this last month, we had a terrible event that we have to really try to protect our rights for free speech, especially here in Washoe County. We have some great county employees and some great volunteers here who come every month and try to advise our commissioner. And a lot of times I see a fight over free speech, over agenda control and free speech. It would be nice to have a little bit longer, like Mr. Todorov said, a little longer speech than 3 minutes. And really, it doesn't really matter what we say. The board handles it. The board votes. So it's kind of concerning to me. And there are a lot of times when, we talk about county statutes. Well, unfortunately, Nevada revised statutes trumps that, and I hope we all remember that when we go to, quote them. So, and I love what you said about, using our tax dollars to create problems. Let's not do that. Let's, be sure, and the employees and the board here that we are good, citizens and good, stewards of the money that we collect from taxpayers in this city and in this county. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Drew Rebar.
Hi, my name is Drew Rebar. I live out in Washoe Valley. I'm also a candidate for the 2026 cycle for Assembly 40. Pretty much I'm a free speech advocate, constitutionalist, and the reason I'm running for an office is I've never wanted, because I'm a businessman pissed off at our government because we deal with a lot of ad hoc rules, regulations, and a bunch of garbage that we simply don't need in our lives as citizens. As far as the wild horses, I love the wild horses, and I've tried to do something about it. I went over to a Department of Agriculture after the last June meeting when we really talked about all this. And I did a public records request. And guess what? The state government still hasn't given me back yet. I wanted to know where all the fencing was. I wanted to know how they planned it. I asked them all these questions. How did this come to be? And they won't tell us. This is BS. I was trying to be polite there. In the last two meetings, at the last two public meetings I've been to, went to one on September 17th and one October 1st yesterday, both for the Library Board of Trustees meetings in the libraries. And in both of those meetings, my public comment was shut down. In the September 17th meeting, the comment, it was adjourned because I faced the audience. And then I mentioned something else I'm going to mention here in a second. Last night at the Library Board of Trustees, I tried to do something. I'm going to do that here again in a minute. So I'm holding my phone here, it's a little timer. And I was heckled during my time. And you know what the Library Board of Trustees did? Nothing. So if the government doesn't like your speech, they will shut you down. They will allow the opposition to heckle you. And the opposition to me is the left. I'm opposed to having a drag queen story hour. Yeah. I'm opposed to locking the libraries to the public and only allowing certain people to access the libraries, or for that matter, any of our public institutions. We the people need to be in charge again, not the bureaucrats running our government. The bureaucrats seem to think they can do whatever the heck they want. And most people go to the government when they need service, they're in desperate need of service. And generally what I found in my life is go to the government for help and you get nothing. But on the other hand, they watch us, and if they see some money they can take, they're gonna try to take it. Again, that's why I'm a little upset. And now for the part that got me shut down, what I'm gonna do now, sorry about the noise here. If I can make that stop. Anyways, we're gonna have the rest of my time, I'm gonna devote to a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, a free speech advocate, and he died because of his free speech. So thank you for your time, and here's some silence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak that didn't fill out form yet? We want to make sure everybody gets to speak if they would like to. Thank you. Seeing none, I move on to agenda item number 4, election of a CAT chair and a vice. The chair and vice chair will be nominated and voted on for the term ending June 30th, 2026. Is there a nomination for the CAB chair.
I nominate Nicole Harris.
Thank you. The nomination has been made to nominate Nicole Harris. Is there a second?
There is. Brad Stanley, I nominate, I second that motion.
Thank you. And Marge Franston always likes me to ask, Nicole Harris, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
Thank you. Those opposed? Hearing none, Nicole Harris is the new chair, and she will now take over the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
That button at the bottom.
It's green.
There, at the bottom, there's a, you hold that in.
These are microphones. My first meeting.
I want to thank
Our first one's
everyone.
using them.
Am I not using this correctly?
I'm not sure. It is new.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I hope everyone can hear me. Yeah, online. Okay, thank you very much for that vote of confidence. I would like to thank Chair Penny for her leadership during this couple of months, and we hope you will continue to help us because this is what we need to do. We're here to work together. I think the last events that happened last month has struck a lot of us, and we can do a better job. All right, so that's where I'm going for. So let's go move on to the commissioner, cab member and announcements. Excuse me.
Vice
We
Chair.
need vice chair.
I am so sorry. Thank you. That's why we have staff. So, and seasoned members of this board. So nominations are open for vice chair. Do I hear any?
I nominate Brad Stanley for Vice Chair.
Okay, is there a second?
I would second that. I know him well.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Any nays? Motion carries. Congratulations, Brad. You're now vice chair.
I'd
Thank
also
you.
like to second your thanks to Penny Brock for taking the chairship and doing all the research required and during a very turbulent time. So this is, I think, a transition time for us, and we'll make the best of it.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on. Can I move on now to number 5 after I've just done the vice chair? Okay, so now we're talking about commissioner / cab member news and announcement. Okay, are there any announcements or comments from Commissioner Mike Clark, the cab chair, or the cab members, and any updates by the cab chair on requests that were made in the previous cab meetings? Since Penny was the previous chair, I would like to ask her if she has any announcements that she would like to consider or share with us.
No, I have none.
Okay, any other commissioners?
I have one comment I'd like to make or an observation. I think that when any of us as cab members speak in front of any of the county boards, Board of Adjustment, the
Okay,
Planning Commission or the commissioners, we should speak as individuals rather than as cab members, unless we have polled the cab members and they all agree with whatever the subject is.
okay. Any other comments?
I just want to underscore that,
You want a microphone, Brad? No?
I hope not.
Okay.
Yeah, am I heard back in the back? Well enough, thank you.
Yeah, you are.
Just about right.
Okay,
On this matter, there's been a lot of open meeting law effects. So the transparency has to be combined with the open meeting law. And anybody can, everybody's interested in free speech, and let's hope we all are. And as long as you identify yourself as a private citizen and you're not, as Marge says, speaking for the board or for any other organization.
okay,
And if you are speaking for some other organization, as you know, you state that so everybody will know you're walking in bias or association.
okay,
So as a private individual, within whatever the rules are, you can say anything you want in any of these meetings. And all of those comments are at the end of the day tallied, and no matter what the pushback is, they're counted and they're looked at for votes and dollars.
Okay, thank you, Brad, on that. All right. Do we have anything from Commissioner Clark, Sally?
He did not, leave anything with me.
And I understand he is recovering.
He is
from-
recovering. He's not feeling well tonight. He wanted to be here,
Okay,
but he wasn't
super.
able to make it.
Okay, and I have no comments at this point. So let's move on. Approval of the minutes for the meeting of June 5th.
And I did, email everybody the minutes.
Okay, so are there any comments, or I'll entertain a motion to accept those?
I would move that we accept the note there.
Okay, is there a second to
Second.
that, Marge? Any comments on that? None? Seeing no discussion, are those, all those in favor of it?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, we're going public safety update. General community update from Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District and our Washoe County Sheriff's Office. This is a non-action item, and I want to, for everyone in this room, I want to really thank you and your team and your staff for protecting us. And I know you're very concerned about our community, and we look forward to forging new partnerships and way of doing business that is good for our community. So who would like to start first?
I think I'm okay.
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Shane Ackerson, the County Chief of Truckee Meadows Fire, for the record. Just wanted to go over a couple of things statistics wise for the area of influence of this board. So for September, we had a total of 216 incidents. That included 1 fire. The majority of those were also structure fires. For year to date, we're up to 2,134. A couple of things, our green waste program, I'm probably gonna take Brett Taylor's thunder a little bit here, but we've announced the dates. That information is available on the website. For this specific area of interest, October 11th and 12th, from 9 AM to 4 PM, will be green waste collection point at the Nevada Division of Forestry facility on East Lake Boulevard. Moving along into this area, Station 37 is coming along nicely. We're anticipated to have that new apparatus bay completed by the end of the month. Was over there today. It looks really nice. It's going to be a very good facility for our staff to be able to operate out of, have a lot more space for appropriate and modern apparatus in that. And a report for myself.
Thank you. Okay. Next.
Good evening. Sergeant Edward Nance with the Washoe County Sheriff's Office. I don't have any specific agenda things to go over. I can go over some simple statistics as far as calls for service in this region that we've gone over. This quarter, it's 3,463 over the 3-year average of 2,905. Most crime is down in this specific Steamboat, Washoe Valley, Southern Reno area. The one thing, there's actually 2 that I wanted to talk about were DUIs are up. That doesn't mean necessarily that more people are driving influence or under the influence. It just means that we're being more proactive about our enforcement. Something that the sheriff's very, very keen on doing. The other thing that was up over the last quarter was the DOP and the vandalism that I'm sure you guys are all aware of with regards to vehicle vandalism specifically, even in this parking lot. So we did catch the people responsible for that. That doesn't mean that there may not be some copycat or opportunists out there. So just be vigilant, make sure that you guys are blocking the vehicles and keeping valuables outside of plain view so that we don't have any individuals that are willing to take advantage of this for that.
Thank you. Questions?
I have an idea, maybe it's something,
Please state your name for the record.
I find it
Just
unusual.
Just a minute, Pete. You need to state your name so.
Oh, my name is Pete Totterl.
Thank you.
You know, I find it ironic that people driving vehicles, cars, for instance, have to pay for a bike path. I think that maybe it might be a good idea for people riding bicycles should maybe pay for a license, paying for a bike path. Maybe have a bike license for people, for the bike path to help pay for that. I find it kind of ironic that we as motorists should have to pay for a bike path. Maybe those people riding bicycles should have a bike license. I think that might be a good idea, that as a motorist like myself should not have to pay for a bike path, that people riding bikes should pay for a bike license. Just a thought. I think that might be a good idea. I don't know.
Thank
But-
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Within, after school started, the two high schools, Galena and Damani, were in front of a fast food place having a big fight. Did the sheriff, or was that city, did law enforcement get called about that? And what is the status of what appeared to be two rival gangs between the two high schools? Do you have any information on that?
I don't, I'm not familiar with that, and that might have been, Reno PD. A lot of stuff goes to school police department also, because it falls under their area of responsibility with the juveniles, but that might have been Reno PD.
Well, because it was not on school property. That's why I thought, because I know parents are concerned about that, so. I saw that in the news and haven't, seen any follow-up on that, so I know that's a concern.
It sounds like it, yeah, but unfortunately, I don't have.
Okay, thank you.
Well, about the,
Just a minute, name,
oh,
please.
sorry, Kelly Hyatt Toll Road. E-scooter things, they're everywhere. Do you guys, in our area, are you able to pull them over, or we have to call Reno PD? I mean, that is a problem when we call sometimes, because we're in incorporated area. I mean, sometimes we don't know who to call, but they're terrible, those little e-scooter guys. They're gonna get killed. They're kids.
Yeah, I mean, all of the electric bikes and the e-scooters, all that stuff is relatively new. There is new, laws regarding those, but it all depends on what specific action that we're doing, and if we can witness them.
Yeah, like the guy that drives on a motorcycle, guy that drives 900 miles an hour, you can never catch him, maybe never catch him, so.
Yeah, there's some that they've now classified as motorcycles. That's-
Oh, that's good, okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you very much for your service on that day.
One more question,
Oh,
please.
sorry.
Yeah, no, Mark. Yeah, in the past, we've kind of gotten, crime stats by region. Is that a thing we're going to do in the future, or?
I
Are you
have to
familiar with
defer
that?
to our analysts. I can give you specific stats regarding this quarter in this region, but I don't have anything about, with regards to other areas.
Well, in regards to this region, I guess, then. Are you
Yeah.
talking-
I can give you some now with specific crime types.
And one of the things that was able to, the reports were able to do, is to say, for an example, in a parking area around Walmart in the town area, that the crime rate had gone up, and a lot of breaking, B&Es and breaking the glass and stealing purses and stuff. And then that went down after a certain amount of patrolling. I didn't know if you had that kind of granularity that you could share with us or not.
I don't have that with me now. I can reach out to our regional intelligence center there, and I can forward it to one of you folks.
Sounds good. Just, send it to the board. And I also have a thank you. I had an incident with a fellow who was a little confused about where he was, on which planet and so forth. And he walked up to our gate when I was down feeding the horses. And he asked how to get to town. And, I kind of said, that's town. This is mountains. And it was that kind of thing. He said about that. And so I, he looked a little on the dangerous side. And a lot of street cats, a lot of jail cats, and some pretty high price ones from what I could tell as a non-professional. I called it into the sheriff's office, and they said, hey, you're too close to the Reno PD. We'll call it in over there. Within 45 seconds or so, maybe a minute, I got a call back from the sheriff's office and a warm handoff to the people looking, because there'd already been another couple of reports on this guy. And so it's, I've been up there on my little hill area, 34-minute response time back in the day. And that's the best response I've ever gotten. So I wanted to say, whoever's doing that handoff and and that work to interface is doing a great job.
I appreciate that. I'll pass it along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next. Who else?
It's a separate agenda, item, but yeah.
Another agenda item.
Okay, let's move on then. Our next agenda item is wildfire preparedness and resources. Mr. Brett Taylor, thank you for coming and thank you for saving all our houses.
That's not me.
Hey, you guys do all a great job. Thank you.
Got it.
Let me get it started and then I will.
Sally's doing that. My name's Brett Taylor, movie community coordinator for the record. Quick quiz, what does movie stand for? It's not email here now. Wildland Urban Interface. Perfect. Good, there we go, cool. So I'm gonna breeze through some slides here. I know it's fire season, we think we're out of the woods, right? And we probably are for our more, potential for devastating fires. In our region, just due to all the moisture and a very mild summer. Probably more mild summers that we've seen in quite a few years. But it doesn't stop with cooler weather. This fire adaptation piece, which is what I'll go through, it is a year-round process. And it's something that you're not preparing for, next month, because we have seen fires in November, December, January, devastating fires have happened in this time of year. But if you start now, then you're more prepared for next fire season and the season after, and you're getting to something that's a critical piece of it, a fire adapted community. Because it's not just your home, it's everyone's home. In the sphere around your house. So that's really want to get across to you with this. Some of this stuff is going to go in one ear out the other. I'm always happy to come back around that fire season time when people are thinking about it again and they're looking at their yard and saying, okay, what, winter, dead growth, or what are these things I need to remove and clear out? That's really what, when I can come help you and get you on a pathway towards, more defensible space and home hardening, those things which I'll go over. These are some factors that are specific to our area, a lot of areas, but really specific to our area that I want everybody to take note of, because when it's raining now, our fine dead fuels, our temperatures could go up and our humidities could go down next month, and we can see all of our fine dead fuels, which is all the dead cheatgrass out there. All that stuff is still very susceptible to burning. So when we have these specific fire weather factors, potential for fire exists, and it doesn't take a lot to catch your house on fire. It doesn't take a Davis fire or anything like that. It can be small localized event in the field adjacent to your house, and it could run through those really fine fuels that are dry within a few hours, and it can catch small portions of your house on fire, which then can get into, the bulk of your house. And so that's what we really want. These conditions can exist at any time of year. And so keeping an eye out for when we have hotter temperatures or low humidities, combination of both. And then when we have those red flag conditions, which is usually combined with winds and those hotter, less humid times. Those conditions are very common in our fall because they come with our cold fronts. Those cold frontal passages that just bring a lot of winds. Obviously, wind blows fire a lot faster than we can control it. And we don't get aircraft, which is usually critical in controlling fast moving fires. We can't catch up to it. So we kind of have to get out of the way and let fire move in and then go into dew point protection after that. So it's something that really want people to be look out for and pay attention to all those different notification methods that I'll go over, and watch out for those situations that everyone is at higher risk. Some local factors for us, especially in this area, we have a lot of rural zones, a lot of adjacent to maybe federal land, some other lands that don't have continual management. It's not manicured landscaping. And so those are the areas that you need to pay more attention to. And you provide your defensible space, greater defensible space to that side of your lot. the wind's coming from the west and you have unmanaged fuels to the west, then you want to extend that buffer zone that way. I'll talk about that a little more. And the last and really big thing is changing the home ignitability. Everyone's home is getting older. With that age comes dilapidated materials or older materials that are not fire resistant. And so home ignitability is a huge factor with our older communities that don't have the greatest advancements in WUI code. So what we're building into new housing developments now, the homes are not very combustible. If you're in an older home, you take stock of those kinds of things that make your home more susceptible to wildland fire, but it's any kind of fire, house fire, anything like that. So, and I'll go over those. So, this is a video. It's a good video. I'll just go through this, just at least portion of it. Sally, can you scoot forward to a couple minutes and just a video? Some backstory on this is the Insurance Institute. Basically, they look at home ignitability, and they did a study on why homes are being ignited by wildland fires. And what they're finding, it's not dense brush that's sitting next to your house that's igniting ember. That is a hazard. But what happens a lot is the ember fallout from fast moving fires is blowing in and catching small localized spots around your house. It's catching things on fire, and then that's what's in there. Really, yeah. Anyway, they simulated this, and it's a good video to look at, but if you go a little bit further in, you can. Yeah, I think it's hiding below here. The water there.
That's her.
We're just gonna skip through that because it's too loud. But if you go back and do a little digging on that, you can find it pretty easily on YouTube. It just shows it's dark out. It shows ember fallout blasting a house because they simulate 20-mile-an-hour winds, not that intensive wind, and it's blasting inside of this house, and it sees where all this stuff is catching on fire. One, you can see like, okay, that looks like my house. That's igniting, and I wouldn't think it would ignite that well, but it does. The other thing is you can kind of see what that looks like for you if you were to evacuate your house at night and you have a fire, a couple blocks away, it's blowing those embers in across your street. What does that look like for you to evacuate in that mindset, middle of the night, you just woke up, that happening around you? Those are the kinds of things we want people to try to, become more prepared to deal with, and why that, that preparation and getting your, not just your house ready, but your, psyche ready and your family ready to be prepared for that kind of event. Because it's not a matter of if, it's when, because we know fires happen every year. Just depends on where it's going to be affecting you. So this is what I was just talking about with very critical elements of home hardening. I'm not going to get into every single piece, but these are what like our researchers and people living the fire have found, is that these are the best things that you can modify to make your home less susceptible to wildland fire. Where if your roof is old, if there's fiber showing, if it's not up against where that number 4 there, where it's attached to your siding, if there's not flashing there, all of those things make your roof more susceptible to catching embers and then igniting portions of the house on fire. And so one example, all of these different things have a susceptibility. And when we're looking at home hardening, we're changing very small characteristics of your house or very big characteristics of your house that you're still, but you're changing those things to be more resilient to wildland fire. And so maybe you didn't rake the leaves this last fall and they're piled up there. Our building code is designed to assume that you haven't done any flexible space. You haven't cleared it. We want you to, because you're increasing your chances even more. But this technology built into home hardening, it's preparing your home to be even more resilient, that to withstand wildland fire as it moves through communities. I can go over that more in detail with anybody on the side. I won't get into too much of the nitty-gritty on that.
these are just some more specific examples. I'd say something that I'd ask everybody to do, even this time when you're not worried about wildland fire at all, is go take stock in your own risk in your property. Go look at some of these things. All of this material is available on livingwithfire.org. And go look at all of their infographics and educational material and look and see, okay, how was my home compared to this stuff? Maybe if you don't know, you can call me. That's what I'm here for. And I will help advise you on where you can make your changes in your home or your defensible space to be more resilient. But go take stock of your own risk, because that's the first step in changing anything, is identifying where your risk exists and how do you mitigate it. So as we go to defensible space, this is the second that it's a combined approach. You have to do defensible space with home hardening. Even if you have tempered pane windows, and they're not transmitting a lot of heat through. People in Davis Fire, they saw trees 100 yards away igniting, or not igniting, but blasting out the outer pane of their window and almost breaking through both panes because of that heat transfer. And if one more pane of window broke, then the house was going to be ignited and burned down. So that's why if you have a juniper bush or a tree sitting right outside your house within that defensible space zone and it catches fire, it still has, even with all the great advancements, it still has potential to catch your house on fire. So there's strategic ways to modify those three zones to make them more resilient and less susceptible to ember fallout, but also flaming fronts. And I can go into those just a little bit. These are just some of the mitigation actions. I'd say the most important ones. You can kind of see the houses that you see through Reno all over the place. Those look exactly like all of our communities. These are things that we really don't want to see and gives our firefighters a lot more trouble in defending. And when we're going through and doing structure protection, we see pictures like this, we see things like this in a community. We're going to look at the house that's done the mitigation, and that's what we're going to set up to do structure protection. We'll try to provide protection for some of these houses, but the ones that are overgrown, a lot of times they are not defensible. So we have to make a strategic decision to say it's defensible. We can do a little prep work, but we have to leave and let the fire blow through, and then maybe come and clean it up afterwards. Or none of that vegetation is there in the front yard, and we can sit in the driveway and fire can blow all around us, and we can sit there and defend it. That's some of that decision process that we have to go through in those fire scenarios. And so you doing the mitigation now helps your house when it has a fire 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. Anyway, those are just some of the things I'd say, looking at different varieties, looking at different the placements, the arrangement, all of these different things go into how combustible plants are and how they might ignite your home. Get into that a lot more. I'm not going to do it right today, so save your guys' time. More actions in zone 1. Big one here, might be a question later, is about our most transmissible fuel that we have in Nevada, and that's cheatgrass. That's the one at the top right there. Nice and green right there. It's probably not too burnable, but once it dries out really early, then that is a huge fire hazard. It transmits fire very quickly, and it has a lot of potential to get fire into your ornamental vegetation, and then that is what's burning water next to your house and things on fire. So still very dangerous fuel, and we recommend that be cleared, especially within this 30-foot zone. Dead fuel, this is a good general fix. It just remove dead. We see that as just it's most combustible. It throws the most embers. That's what we really recommend people is remove the dead in your yard, and you will drastically improve your chances of surviving wildland fire. And the last zone is zone 2. This is that zone that can expand or contract based on which direction into the wind or towards the unmanaged fuel, towards the wildland. This is where you make that modification. And again, you're just removing dead, you're limbing trees, you're just reducing the density of the grass or brush. So when fire comes out of the wildland, it runs into your property, it has a place to stop, and it kind of loses its steam, and it transmits to the ground. It's not a crown fire anymore, it transmits to the ground, and it's something that we can manage because you've done field modification. So Again, combined with home hardening, but if you can do just some of these, and recommend you do all of them, but if you do some of these in defensible space, so paired with home hardening, your house will be much more defensible. Hopefully you all know of these. If you're an engaged citizen, you should be engaged with all of these. We like people to be informed, especially when we are recommending evacuations. We rarely are going to pull somebody out of their home. But when we do have an evacuation, like we saw with the Davis fire last year, it's massive amounts of people trying to get out all at once. And so if you can be more informed with the potential, maybe you're in a warning zone and you can preemptively evacuate because you're ready with all of your, you're prepared with your go bag and all that. You'll get the notifications up here. So we recommend people be engaged with these, especially during fire season, when we're throwing out all those alerts of, red flags, and then maybe a fire on roads that you saw. You can kind of start gaming a little bit. There's no evacuation yet, but you can start putting yourself in that situation to evacuate. And then obviously working through Washoe County Emergency Management, that's where our evacuations come from. That's who manages all of those. Community Connect is a separate program through our application. It's if you have functional needs or special situations with your property, you can put those into Community Connect, and that will be relayed through our first due application. So as doesn't just even a medical emergency or something like that, our firefighters can, on the road to your house, can see all those different things that are specific to you. And it's in our engines as we're going. So it's a good communication method to first responders. And here's some of those resources Chief Atkinson talked about. Greenway Stays. Please take advantage of those if you're looking for a way to get rid of material. Free service. You just have to get it to one of our sites. Curbside chipping is something we are doing this fall. I think we just turned off the request button, but hopefully if you haven't taken advantage of that, you will. It's a good service just if you don't have a trailer or a truck to get it to curbside or green waste, you can get rid of it that way. And then open burning, if you're up for it, it's again a great way to get rid of material without hauling it, as long as you're doing it safely and with a burn permit. Those are really effective ways to reduce fuel. And then defensible space inspection recommendations, that's through me. If you can find my information on this next slide. If you're interested in an inspection, I can provide you with all the different tools and tips and tricks that I just went over, and we can go over it more in depth, and so you'll have a report to kind of go about your defensible space and then your fire adaptation. Last piece is Firewise USA. There's some flyers in the back. If you're a firebrand and you want, part of the fun, to get your community on board with being fire adapted, maybe like you've done all the work, but your neighbor hasn't, and you want to be that person to get everyone around you. We know that's good data is out there now that says that the more houses in a community that get fire adaptation and they're overlapping protection for each other, the better chances they have to survive a conflagration event. Like they're not going to have what happened in LA or anything like that. So Firewise is the best method for that, best reporting and communication method. That's through me and the state. And we can get your community set up just to moving towards Firewise. You get a recognition plaque. You might get an insurance name reduction. It's a good things to do. And you only need 8 neighbors, you plus 7 to be a Firewise community. You don't need to be neighbors either. You can be just a general vicinity. So it's a good thing to do. And look into that and contact me if you're interested. And there's my information. Sorry, I went through that really fast, but.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Brett, is there any other questions, or we can talk? As
Brad,
Brett.
raise his hand.
Brett.
I had the opportunity to, in the 1994 series of fires around 4th of July, to be downwind of the fire, half a mile after it got started. And called in and said, hey guys, it's not looking good up there. And they said, well, we don't have enough guys to come up and help you out. Because there were several other fires, so, okay. And so I said, so what do I do? And they said, well, shelter in place. And I was looking for fire. I know I'm kind of exaggerating this, but it's still been 25 feet tall maybe.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, what's my choice B? And they said, we don't have a choice B. Why don't you go ahead and do that? So we didn't, of course, but, breaking rules. But what is the ignition temperature? The kind of key to getting us to decide to break the rule was I had some, creosote soaked, fire, railroad ties.
Yeah.
That I've been using for steps. And I don't want to say I threw one, I kind of threw and dragged it maybe 35 feet down.
Mm.
And then it wasn't too long before it spontaneously ignited. And I thought, oh, that's pretty hot.
Mhm.
Basic understanding of fire.
Mhm.
So what roughly is the ignition temperature for the interior of a house for staying at home in a fire?
Upwards of 2,000 degrees, I believe, chiefs, so you can probably correct me on that one. So if that shelter in place term, it's out there because it's a strategy. It is not a primary strategy for our department. We are going to recommend people leave.
And
If you have to stay, your home is not a tenable place. Even a lot of firefighters don't choose to be in home because once things ignite, that the toxic fumes that are released from burning, those combustibles, that stuff is almost as deadly as the fire.
turns out that fire wasn't our first rodeo. We were in the Topanga Calabasas fires too, so. we kind
Bad
of
luck.
across, well, yes and no, we were across the street from the fire commander. And we had a pool.
Okay,
So
good.
certain areas survived very well. But what we ended up doing, I guess it's a combination, is say that, hey, we're driving out. And they said, hey, best of luck. And, in a nice way. And so we drove out with 2 SUVs, but those boring bomber guys saw the problem and did what you call anyplace else, close air support. And those guys, whatever their salary is, can we triple that? Because they, washed our car in the borate and kept the fire down ahead of us. I don't know how they targeted it that well, but that's what got us out. And so when I told the story, not that it matters much, but when I told the story, I said we drove out to 25-foot fire, and everybody said, yeah, baloney, 25 feet, right? And then we came back and looked at the telephone post at about 20-25 feet because it was high sage.
Yeah.
We had the burn mark, so just wondered if there was any better way of doing it, and the answer is no, right?
We're always,
Of sheltering in place.
we're always
Did
gonna
we have
recommend you leave. I mean, ideally, a community is so defensible that fire can burn through and it doesn't burn down houses. That's the idea. You can leave ahead of the flaming front, and our notification methods are so good that you're out long before the fire gets there, because you're prepared.
Yeah.
And then the fire can burn through and there might be some smoke damage, but there's not rubble waiting for you. That's the idea. The evacuation procedures, we're always looking at that too, is trying to improve those corridors out, make sure they're hardened, so people that's other strategies that we have, that we work with the county on to try to make it better.
Infrastructure is all better. I think we have a one-way in, one-way out, 0.6 mile driveway. So,
Yeah.
kind of a tough go. And then the last one, just clarification, on the 30 feet defensible. For those of us who are a little slow, we have pine trees that, since all my trees, 3,400 trees got burned down.
Mhm.
So I went on a planting trees kind of spree and kind of overdid it.
Okay.
But the trees were within, I don't know, 40 feet.
Okay.
But they're 20 feet tall.
Yep.
And I'm happy to cut them in half, but, well, semi-happy. So how far back? Is there any way of doing that, or do I have to have somebody come out and say, and actually take an on-site look?
I would say get an on-site look, because trees are especially depending on variety. If it's a Jeffrey pine or ponderosa, more likely Jeffrey, those are fire resilient species. And so provided you've done limbing and you've cleaned out the ground field beneath them, they're probably a low risk to burn.
Okay.
We don't recommend people moonscape their yard because that's not good ecologically. We want some vegetation because that's good for the environment and species, but I would say just get an on-site opinion or defensible space companies.
And work it from there. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else from in the back of the room would like to give comments or?
Yes, I promise. Very good, thank you.
You're fine?
Yeah.
Okay, super, let's move on. Neighborhood development hub and other engagement opportunities. Staff to announce any upcoming neighborhood development meetings as provided on the online hub. And any board and commission vacancies with application details as provided on the openings page. Specific questions and feedback will be brought back to the appropriate staff for potential announcement at the next CAB meeting.
Go ahead and get you to that page. So I like to go into the neighborhood hub through the connect with your commissioner. And when you go down to the bottom of this page,
Can we hear you, Sally? I mean, can everybody hear Sally?
can you guys
Okay.
hear me? I'll
Do
speak
you want a
up.
microphone,
So at the
Sally?
bottom of that,
Or give it to Sally so we can, because the folks online need to be able to hear you too.
yeah, and they actually, their speaker is right here.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, let's see if I can get this one to work. So you go down to the neighborhood hub, and if you click on that button there, it will bring you up to upcoming projects. And I do believe we have Sierra Reflections had a meeting on this last month. And then we have Iverson Ranch as well. That's out, one of my other cabs, sorry about that. Sierra Reflection. And it'll tell you when the meeting was. This one was actually April 17th. But if you want to see what's going on with the applications now, where it says Washoe County applications, click on there. And you go down the side and you can go to your district. So for District 2, the applications that are in process right now are right here. And you would click into whichever one you want to see what's going on. It's like this one, it's going to be going to the Board of County Commissioners. The hearing date is to be determined. Sierra Reflections, and that's the reason I was thinking about that. They go to the Planning Commission on November 4th. Same with Sunset Ranch. And so this will give you all that information in here, and you can click into the different projects and find out where they're at and what's going on with them.
Good. Super. Yes,
You go to the Marengo Springs one?
Which one?
Marengo Springs.
So that, the hearing date was September 2nd, and that was at the Planning Commission. The outcome is it was approved.
Was it?
Planning Commission met today.
Planning Commission.
Yeah, the Planning Commission on September 2nd was when this went to, or this is when that went to the Planning Commission and it was approved.
How many homes?
I do not.
Go there to.
No,
Yeah, that'd
just
be
click on
something,
it.
go ahead and you can go into that.
Okay. The other thing is you should sign up to get,
And that's what we're gonna go to next. I'm gonna show you where to sign up. So this has all of the information. I mean, it's really small. It's 21 pages. We don't wanna go through all that. So let me go ahead. Get you back out of there. So if you go back to that Board of County Commission page, there's a part here where it says, sign up for your district news. There's an issue with that link right now. So you'd go down to the bottom of the page and it says sign up here. You can click on there, see if it'll sign up. And then it has, you put your email address in and then you can sign up for any of these things and it'll come straight to your inbox. And that way you don't have to worry about any of it.
that's a great tool to use. So if you're not on it, please consider signing up on that, okay? Sounds good. Anything else, Sally?
That is it.
Okay, let's move on. Number 10 is gonna be board member announcements, request discussion. Brad, Marsh, any comments on that you'd like to share?
Well, I'm not sure exactly where Brad wants to do his presentation, but he's worked very hard on it. And so I would encourage him to stand up and speak.
Does that mean now,
That's
Marge?
it, Yeah.
Okay, do it now, Marge.
And there's the microphone over there.
Sure, let me try
Turn
the
this one
mic.
back on.
We can leave it off and have a bad joke. Hi, my name is Brad Stanley. I've been a cab member for 3 different tours. Broken up by a couple of tours as a Board of Adjustments guy. And know several of the other folks here who've done their similar kinds of things, Mr. Todoroff. And always relied very heavily, by the way, as an aside, on all the comments, all the public comments that we got, particularly in the Board of Adjustments. Because that was the tipping point. That was always the point you could make a difference, in my humble opinion, or not make a difference. And it was the community voices that won out more times than not. So if you ever feel like you don't have a voice, you're actually wrong. And fellows like Mr. Todoroff, get your voices down to the agencies who decide, and they count them. So,
That goes for the planning commission too.
yes, it does. And Marge had several tours on the planning commission, so she would know those things make a vital difference. Over to the question at hand, there are some handouts. One is on your chairs. And I was kind of going to rely on those. One of them is a little thick. Thank you, Kelly, by the way. Kelly and Lisa, Kelly, would you sit up there? Who was responsible for making the copies of everything and cleaning up my errors and so forth as I went through it. But what it really is an action line of what, we did a lot of what we talked about. And this is of what we did. And that's the updates from the talking. But the heavy kind of dense copy page is the why. Why did we form a new committee, a cab committee that has never been done before? If you had to search pretty hard, Penny did, and the NRS even find a justification for it, but it's there. And so we're able to take that ball and run. And so the question would be, oh yeah, run where and why? The why part is in the denser copy. And it was 55 or 56 people. And I think an official told Sally, if you mentioned, was 76 is what you told me. 76 people in this room talking about a fence, an NDA fence down in Steamboat and Washoe that was problematic and was likely to get more problematic. And essentially, what did we intend to do about it? And we had no mechanism to do anything about it. So we made one up. And it's called the Virginia Range Horse Working Group. And it has a charter. And the charter's surprisingly legitimate. What we did is interview the stakeholders to see what the stakeholders wanted us to do and how we might best assist the wild horses of the Virginia Range. Or we dropped the wild horses part just to keep everybody happy and said the Virginia Range horses. And then we broadened that out for the lady that was here earlier to wildlife. And I'll read more about that later. But Kelly said, okay, so what's a stakeholder? And I don't know whether this is good news or bad news, Kelly, but you have become one. Okay, memo to follow. But the original stakeholders, as you might guess, since we're a county committee, we're county commissioners. So we got in touch with the county commissioners who had, I want to say, make a terrible joke, a horse in this fight. They either had horses on the dirt that they controlled or had 50-year expertise in the Virginia Range horses. So we had a very simple proposition for them. We called and said, 50 or 60 citizens in our ward, District 2 area have come up and said, we have a problem with the wild horses. We want to know what you're going to do about it. So we asked our stakeholders, what are the 2 things that we can do to help the people who are having problems with the fencing and with the fire danger, which we'll get to later. I wish I had the slide back of the green cheatgrass. I got a couple of horses, we'll take care of that like that. So anyway, that's the kind of thing that they do, obviously. So what was really nice, the stakeholders, to answer the question, were those three commissioners and the two, public support agencies, one state and one national, for wild horses, and those are the WFC, excuse me, WHC and the AWHC. And we called all of these folks and said, what can we do? Give us two things we can do to help these folks and ways to do it. And they were pretty straightforward about what we could do. They suggested, first of all, support the public fencing project. And we thought, okay, that works. And then they expounded on that, on how best to do it. But they also then, their second ask, I'm not sure if your boss actually has an ask, the second tell was, see what you can do to educate the people about the Virginia range horses. And I'll tell a little story there. One of my son-in-law has an LEO background, Story County, now down in Carson City, 3-star. And I said, hey, we've got this committee we've started to address the question of the wild horses. And we listened to that and said, you know, Brad, with all due respect, and I respect you a great deal, about 1,000 other guys have done that for the last 100 years. And so what makes, you know, and again, with all due respect, what makes you so special? And I said, you know, I thought about it and thought, nothing actually. So we better go find out what we can do, what's in the range of the doable. So this next sheet here, and it's called updates. It's some of the things that we have done. And I'm going to ask, Kelly brought up some questions, one of which is how do you become a stakeholder? Well, you help us a lot. And then we say, Kelly, you're a stakeholder. So that works. There was a lady here earlier who said, was worried about wild horses. And if she were here now, we'll point out that we broaden out the focus on the public safety, which was the other part that we were supposed to do. Make sure it was about public safety. The public safety, what are we calling it? The public safety wildlife fence. So we're not saying, you know, if a bighorn sheep comes through the wire, that's as bad as if a deer did or if a horse did, whether it was wild, feral, or independent. You know, it didn't have a designation yet. So that's the intent. So they said, go support this.
Not moan.
Excuse me.
It's the speaker.
Oh, okay. I'm sure it was applause. So that's what we decided to do, that in education. As it turns out, the fencing has an education component because a legitimate question is, what makes you guys think you can teach everyone about the Virginia range wild horses over 100 years? And the answer is nothing. So what we'll do is compile all the existing and make it available to everyone in some kind of easy to digest form. And that's the thought. So we then were told, go talk to the city in the person of Naomi Doerr, who's already developing the fence, and worked with her and asked her what we can do to help that. And it's a little bit like that old joke. How do you lead a parade? You find a parade and step in front of it. So that's kind of what we're doing with her fence. We're trying to work with her fence to help the wild horses since it's already in place and it's already moving forward. So what have we done in that regard? The first driver for this, and questions anywhere along the line, please. The first driver for this was Lisa O'Sullivan says, I have a problem in my backyard with a fence and I want you to come see it. Okay, so I was the guinea pig, and for our committee, which includes Marge, Preston, included past tense, Adolfo Correa, who was a very helpful and brilliant guy. And we will miss him, but he's gone on to actually better things. He's an educational doctor. He's also a doctor of cardiac virology. And so he's now taken a post with the county to help in those regards in epidemiology. So I think they're going to get somebody that is going to be a great asset. But we now have openings as on our committee. And so that's something that we'll put out, and you can formally join or informally join, or none of the above. But, so the first thing that we did was go out, and I got an exciting, 45, 50 mile an hour, ATV razor ride up about a 45-degree slope before we got to the crest. And the question kept being, do you see anything? And I said, yeah, I see my white knuckles. But, you know, in point of fact, you get to see it on the ground, and that's the real deal. Because you can talk until you're blue in the face, and until you see it, it isn't real. And we walked around the fence, and I know enough to know about the NRS statutes on fencing, that they have to be of a certain height and strength. Because I have 1,000 yards of it on my property. And this wasn't that. So we noticed some problem areas, right for improvement, I guess. And so I came back and said, okay, give other members. I went out and did this. I survived. It's your turn. And Lisa was good enough to invite the Commissioner Clark, and Adolfo went along as shotgun and to take notes and to figure out what the situation was. So that the heavy density stuff is that first tour. Here's what he saw, and he said, there's a serious problem here, which we all agreed on. We had a meeting. We all agreed there's a serious problem here. We need to do something, and here are some, and we need to study it and form a working group, which is us, to go out and analyze it and come up with ideas to work through it. So some of the things that we came up with is a second tour. And that tour, and when I'm saying tour, I mean driving around. What some people that I know used to call ground truthing. You know, we've got a lot of satellite maps, and that shows you what it looks like from Mars. That's great. But, you know, when you see it on the ground and you see the topo, the real topo, you see the houses that happen to be in the middle of the fence line, or that you see the 3-foot guards on Geiger grade and a cliff like that, and 75-mile-an-hour traffic becomes a little different than looking at a map. So we ground truthed the map. And by that I meant, we started at where the fence currently ends. There's a Kenneth Way, all right, which will need a cattle guard, which was donated by the county. So we managed to broaden out. One of the pieces of advice that we got was try to help everybody make this a joint project as opposed to a one-trick pony, not a horse jokes, a one owner only by the city. So now if you'll notice on any of the posted stuff, it's city, county, NDOT co-production. So everybody gets to get money and feel good about it, or give advice. So it's a valley project, as it should be. The wild horses didn't vote, and they don't know whether they're incorporated or not incorporated. And I don't know if they care. And so that was able to be done. In the driving around on, how long did that take, Kelly? 3 hours maybe? I said we had an hour, and you said, no, you don't have 3.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We drove from Kenneth Way up Geiger grade, from Geiger grade down to Toll, and that took 3 hours. And the reason that took 3 hours is because all along the way, you looked at where the fence would be, and Kelly knows chapter and verse about where the horses actually come down, the path that they've used for hundreds of years, and they're not gonna change because we asked them to. You know, they do what they do. And the other thing we noticed is some of the mountains went like that. And you know, some of them were 1.5 to 2 feet away from a house. So there were just some problems that look great on a map, but simply were not practical otherwise. So Kelly drew up some maps and said, here a problem there is. So I don't think it was under the table, but it was a little ex officio. How's that? So I kind of got it over to the city and said, here are problem areas. We have them. And they said, well, do you have just little drawings? I said, no, it's better. We used your GIS stuff, all your heavy duty mapping. It's modified and it's measured. We're gonna get that over to you, and if you'd like. And they said, oh, please, yes. You know, because it's gonna save money and time, right, aside from horses. So that was gotten over. And I think it's in the later stage of being, what is the common term, under advisement. that's just before they said, yes, we gotta do this. So they're all for it, and it's gonna happen, but it's largely going to be in the correct place because of actually going out and ground truthing on, but with experts on where that issue is. The other thing that we noticed, and I may be skipping over something, so if I do, somebody else, is that there is the plan, and there's a, give or take a couple of dollars, $1 million, for the second phase of this fencing. And Kelly, do you happen to know how many miles that is? I heard 6 miles at one point.
I don't think it's more than 6, maybe.
Yeah, I heard 6 for $1 million miles or $1 million. So, you know, pretty good chunk of change. And when we looked at that part, we were saying, okay, that's nice. Now the, at pro bono, essentially, or through some contract, because the two, agencies that work with the wild horses are in fact, you know, it used to be the bad guy was the NDA, the good guy was everybody else. Well, it turns out that the good guys made deals with the bad guys. And now they all have subcontracts with the NDA. So the bad guys, it's easy to say bad if you don't know them, or if you don't know what they do. But once you meet them and find out, we'd like to fix this too. It's no fun anymore because you don't get to think they're the bad guy. They're actually, they have a charter to do their job. And we are trying to work with them, and they're trying to make their charter fit the real world as seen by the citizens. So a lot of that divide is going away, and I've got to say, after 25 years of doing that, that's a bonus round, and well done, some folks there. So one of the things we, you know, kind of a fun situation. You have a fence, a public fence, costing $1 million, and then you lay off the maintenance for it because you can't afford it. And luckily, one of the wildlife groups, WHCB, has been putting up fence, much less maintaining fence, for 20 years. So they could probably teach the installers how to do it, but so they have to maintain it. But the trick is they also have to get to it. So they have to get gates, and there weren't any gates. So Kelly said, we can't parachute in, you know, we need gates. And so we give that information over to the city, and they said, yeah, we need gates. So they looked at your gate thing and are taking that under advisement with the understanding that if they want to have the fence maintained, they're going to have the gates. So a cascading series, in my view, of improvements and welcome improvements to the engineering and infrastructure group, not necessarily politicians, not electeds at this point, but the guys who do the business, who do the work, do the design, they're nodding yes, because cost goes down, efficiency goes up, they're happy. And then there's a little joke about another use of these fences, of these gates. In driving around, you know, they're concerned about what happens when we have to emergency evacuate, fire, or I got somebody to lift their head up, fire, or, you know, any other kind of emergency. How do we get the horses out and get the people out without cutting them in half through barbed wire at 30 miles an hour? Well, you know, that's kind of a good question, right? From a public safety standpoint, and our charter covers public safety. So we're allowed to look at that, not act like a pro, but then go to the pros and say, the firefighting groups, and say, how do we do this? But one of the things we can do, since people are already nodding yes to gates, is get more gates that you can let horses in, let horses out, let people out if there's an evacuation, so they don't have to drive through, you know, fence and so forth. So those are improvements on the ground that we're making. So it's not just suggestions, it's suggestions that have action behind them. And that's what we're looking for. That's really our charter. And if you disagree or have anything to add to this, Marge is
You're doing well.
I wouldn't bet the ranch, but we're getting through. The next thing, based on the analysis of the fencing tours, and again, the VRH, WG, we kind of looked at something, and we had some funny measurements, because I, by experience, but memory failing, have about 1,000 yards of official fence on my property, installed 1, 2, 3 times, depending on what phase it was and who was king at the time. And so, but it all had to match up to Nevada revised statutes for a stress panel. That's 4.5 foot posts every 12 feet, I believe. I'm not sure on that. 12. And the top wire has to be X high. Okay, so we said, you know, the fence that I saw had some really short stuff. They must have been expecting, I don't know, Shetland ponies or something, because these were little fences. And they were gonna keep out little horses. Big horses would try to jump it and would either make it or wouldn't. And if you ever seen a horse try to go over a fence and doesn't make it, it's not a pretty sight. So we said, that's not okay. So we got this precise measurement. I asked Lisa, would she go up and do you have any pictures? And she said, yes. The fence is as tall as the waist of my jacket. And I thought, we need to work on that a little bit. We need inches. So today I thought, well, I'll put this right up. I went to my fence and I was walking around. I didn't have a scale either. And I thought, okay, it comes up to my sternum. And I thought, I'm not going to tell her that I measured it that way too. But then went to a scale, took out the yardstick, it's 4 feet on the nose, just as we would think. The posts are 4.5, the top wire has to be 4 feet. 3 feet is not to enter as specs. Now you'd say, kind of so what, except for that's the NDA fence, who's supposed to be telling us how tall the fence is. And except that there's a plan for the city fence to connect to the, we're sure it's perfect, NDA fence, which is not meeting spec. So there could be a legal or some kind of problem about, can you spend $1 million on your fence, which is compliant, and hook it to another agency fence, which is not. So we're trying to tread easy on that one. Just so everybody says, you know what would be a swell idea is we put in gates instead of the Shetland pony fence. And then, you know, get it up to specs and just ease it in and get it done. So that's being, I think the term we used to use back in the day, that's being socialized, which means it's not on paper, it's a whisper campaign, and somebody, we're hoping, in the NDA and in the city, including the engineer, for example, I said, you know, we need to use those gates instead of that Shetland pony fence. And then we can get on with it. And we'll say, hey, small idea. You can have another $1 million. One of the things that I'm kind of keen on, and we all were, is we've also set up or promised to set up another tour because again, seeing is believing, well, that's real one, right? You can hear Prezos all day long, show a picture like these graphics, and you go, oh, 30 feet, it's that close, and then up it goes. Or 2,000 degrees is more than you want to be in, right? So you get the real numbers. And so the point there is get the other stakeholder, which would be Naomi Dewar and her contingent probably, to go out and see the problem and see if she agrees. And see if socializing some of those other easy solutions are acceptable or if there's some other one. And so that's where we are on that. And the update on that is as of yesterday. And she said, you bet, sign me up, let's go, let's rock and roll. And she sent you through me her contact number that apparently she hasn't answered a lot, so it's for the big kids, the special kids. And so she's looking forward to your call. Here's a reminder though, all right, how do we get away with this stuff? And the stakeholders, and this is under the item number 7, the stakeholders, again, what we did is called the commissioners who we report to and said, who else should we talk to? They said, talk to the public wildlife support group. We did, everybody said 2 things. I mean, the consensus was, go support the fence and emphasize a couple of things. Broaden it out so everybody can spend the money and take the credit, which is now a city, county, NDOT, and it'll go to NDOT under wildlife. So that's an expectation that we have to bring those folks in as well. Things. The other piece is that to emphasize public safety. You know, there are people who think, hey, these are feral horses, these are wild horses, who cares? They're a debit on the balance sheet, and we'll look into that at some point later on the audit. But it's a problem, not a solution. I don't care. I don't want to spend $1 million on this. And when you say, okay, how about $1 million on public safety? Oh yeah. Well, it's the same thing. The specs early on were 45, but pre-fence, this is a real easy one. Pre-fence, 44, actually 45, update 34 more, okay, 48. Without the fence. Okay, the areas where it's fenced, 0. You know, there's almost a trend there, right? 48, nothing. Right? So, and you think, oh, it's only a horse. If you're a non-horse person, it's a horse that came through the windshield of some 16-year-old kid who's got too much testosterone driving out of Demonte Ranch High School at 55 miles an hour. And somebody has to go visit his family. So you know, it's a lot more than a horse. And, you know, the other piece of it is how much insurance, what does it cost, all that sort of thing that you don't want to know about. So we broadened it out to include wildlife. We broadened it out, the stakeholder base. We're also going to, the question would be, have you talked to all the stakeholders yet? And the answer is no. NDOW's still on the list. This will be a shocker. RSCBA is on the list, and that's to broaden out the educational component. You know, once upon a time, the Coronas and other stakeholders up on the road did a poll about guests coming in. What do you want to see if you're non-gambler? They had 2 things they wanted to see. They wanted to see the Ponderosa because they'd seen the TV show before. So, and the second thing they wanted to see is Nevada's wild horses. We want to see the wild horses. So you have hundreds of thousands of dollars tourist business sitting there wanting to see something that we're trying to hide. That seems to be a problem to be solved. So you just get the information out, make it safe for everybody, and liability has a plus mark in front of it and a dollar sign in front of it, and that tends to get politicians' attention, and my attention too, everyone's attention. So I encourage that. And I believe combining these goals will allow us to follow our noses on, again, the things like water. And you're thinking, what does that mean, water? Water, you know, they go to the lakes and they go to the ponds. They used to. And then the fences increasingly, as human beings take over their land, fence them out. But, you know, there's a pretty good study done on bighorn sheep up on Story County. And I know a guy who knows a guy, which seems to be work on Story County, and how to build these guzzlers. And Naomi, for one, the city is interested in guzzlers. NDOW will be interested in guzzlers. And the Department of Ag, through the university, will be interested in kind of tracking numbers, doing all the reports, saying how many horses are out there, and then the darting program, how many less will there be, what kind of water do you need, what kind of food do you need, and they can run those numbers. And the nice thing about having the UNR run the numbers. And by the way, Desert Research Institute, who does arid lands program, and I was once just a trustee guy for them and was involved in some North African programs. They know how to take next to nothing and drill and find water. Solar, extremely low maintenance, made for ladies in Chad to walk 20 miles for water. Now you just walk out, turn on the solar panel, it pumps, and the water is surprisingly close to the surface, pumps 100 feet, and you've got water. So for us, we know that water table, because I've had hydrologists look at it, is maybe 30 feet below the surface. It's kind of amazing in certain places. Now, the horses always knew that because you see the palm marks where they try to get the water to come to the surface. But a well there and a guzzler will take care of that problem. So you have additional rangeland, you have public safety, and you have water. Now I say additional rangeland because some of that is going to depend on buying extra land. So that's one. The other part is being sensible and helpful and cooperative about making sure where the fence goes, you don't cut the horses off, certainly all of the year, from eating that cheatgrass that we talked about. That is probably the most inflammable thing out there, right? It lights up if you have a bad cough and cough on it. So that stuff will light up. What do you think the ignition temperature is on that? On cheatgrass. So on a bad day, it just self-ignites practically.
Mhm.
So, and the wild horses love it, and it keeps them alive. And they also furrow the ground up, all kinds of benefit. So if they're out and, up here, folks have been using, goats and sheep
Mhm.
in Topanga and Calabasas, pardon me for mentioning those places in California. But they've been renting goats and sheep forever to knock down the fuels. And, it doesn't work all the time because of the native oaks and all the stuff that's there. But it really keeps the fire from spreading as quickly, so the responders can come in and respond much faster. And all of the animals are happy to have big pet stomachs, and it costs roughly zero. So what we're trying to do is act as a conduit. So what do you guys do? We act as a conduit between the problem and the solution. And maybe we act as a little bit of an emphasizer. Maybe sometimes we'll put a couple of 2x or 3x on a problem. And if they don't believe it, whoever it is, take them out for a look. Show it to them. And if there's a rumor, for an example, that some of the bad guys, NDA and so forth, have said they're willing to come out and take a look. Well, that's groundbreaking. In the past, they haven't done that. There's no guarantee, and it's a rumor, there's no guarantee. But the fact that they would even consider that is new news. So it's a matter of people not coming at them telling they're bad people, coming at them saying, hey, we have a problem, can you help? And surprisingly and wonderfully, they are able to help. So that was kind of a go through it in about 10 times longer than I thought it would be. But are there any questions on this or anything, Marge, you think I didn't cover here?
I think you did a pretty good job of covering.
About a C+, right?
Pardon?
About a C+.
Yep, maybe.
C+.
Maybe. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Brad, I
Yeah.
want, I would like to thank you for doing this project and undertaking it. I know that the public comments were referring to the horses, and that's been a topic that folks have been interested in. So let me ask a couple of questions.
Please.
Can we put this as one of our committees that we would like to hear a report on at meetings? Is that something to do it
Yeah.
so that we don't have to insert it into something that we can publicize it to get folks who are interested to engage in the community meeting we've talked about? I think that's something we can take the
What's that?
leadership on. If that is something that your committee would like to do, and I know Commissioner Clark may be interested in having a community forum. He's gonna have one in November. Maybe we need to put that on the agenda to get the information out, get more stakeholders involved in this. So is that appropriate at this time?
I think it's absolutely
Yes.
appropriate.
Okay, so that you don't have to keep saying, what are we gonna do about, no, let's solve it, let's get it formalized. We have good relationships. We have the chief still here. It's almost 8 o'clock. And so I would like them to invite them to help us to figure out what we can do better. Is that something,
Absolutely. In fact,
okay?
I like to think of us as, I kept wanting us to call our little group the study and observation group, but nobody got the joke. We're scouts.
Okay,
We go out, we
Okay.
find where the problem is, we try to document it, we try to hand it off to the people that actually know what they're doing.
Okay.
So solution scenarios
okay.
can be
So
developed.
maybe we need to have a community meeting here. If this is appropriate. You, whoever the stakeholders are, whoever, we're gonna lead you on it. We need to have a formal presentation with documentation, so we don't start from scratch another year from now. And then we formalize it, so it comes from our cab as an important subject matter that we are behind it. Our citizens have asked us for it. Here's what we're doing. We've got a direction to go. We've got our community partners.
And
So
is
is that okay?
We can agendize a discussion on this for the next meeting if you.
Please, I would like to have that agendized formally. Yes.
one point of clarification. As part of our charter, we send update reports monthly. This is actually a 2.5 month. Last week's.
Okay,
Those are requested to go to the commissioners and the stakeholders. The stakeholders at this point, yeah, are the two, WHC
right.
and AWHC, they get them. 3 commissioners get them because their horses on the dirt. One city council person gets them, and who shows the formal one. Which, so they all get the, Commissioner Clark gets it first, in case he has concerns or issues.
Okay,
And then it goes out to all these others as a matter of
okay.
course.
So what I'm hearing is you're gonna be the lead from this board, this board to head up that project and with Marge. And then we'll have all the other various folks to lead it and then do a presentation. So Sally, could you agendize that?
Most
When
definitely.
is our next meeting, by the way?
Next meeting is in December.
In
So it's
December?
the first,
Okay,
first Thursday in December.
okay, next meeting, we're gonna put that on the agenda. Okay, and then we can publicize it and everybody will be coming, so that'll be
Did we
December.
want it as a discussion or a presentation?
What would you like, Brad? A presentation? Let's do a presentation. because we're only
Update,
questions.
yeah.
An update on it, whatever, and
And
have,
the idea is these will be updated.
okay,
It's
so
what
that's,
that's
okay.
essentially what.
So let me ask you this for the audience, is that something you're happy with? Will that work for you?
I'd love to have a presentation that Brad can give on what they're doing,
Okay,
and also Naomi.
right, okay, so we'll invite,
I'll see if Naomi, would like
okay,
to.
would like to do that, give us a presentation, and then we're gonna invite our citizens so they understand what you're doing and
Right.
what we are doing.
Another
And
quick
that will be the
clarification.
only thing on the agenda, if that's all right.
What?
That will be the only thing on the agenda, if that's all right.
When, because, let me ask you this, why is that the only item on the agenda?
Because of timing.
Time.
Okay, so that will be the only
The
thing.
only thing on
The
there. I
only
mean,
other
we'll
thing
still
I'm
have the
looking at-
public comment
Okay,
and
what?
we'll still have public comment
Right,
and cab comments, but the only agendized item.
well, let me ask you
for
about the
timing.
fire station, because folks have been saying what's happening with the fire station.
And that's why we have, Chief Edwards here.
Do they wanna do a formal presentation or not, or what? I understand
we
Tom
can ask-
Daly was here, so,
We're happy to do a presentation. We can give the same presentation that we provided to the Board of Fire Commissioners. Kind of an overview of where we're at.
how long will that take?
I think it was probably a 30 or 45 minute presentation at the Board of Fire Commissioners,
So that would be one, it would just make the meeting too long. So we can have one and then the other. I mean,
So what do you get, so what do you think? Do you think we need to have that since we just have this?
it's completely up to you.
I mean,
Madam Chair.
board members, what would you like?
We're gonna feed as much data as we can to you on the fire side anyway. Again, that's that, and we'll feed it to Tom. I don't. What the chief is talking
Yeah, I know,
about
it's a
is
difference.
so important though. I don't care what the
So,
subject is, they
I was
just
gonna
have
say,
their
if
own.
you would like to have that in, we can definitely do that.
Why
in
don't we do
December, if
that
that's okay
fire
with you.
presentation, because then you're still gonna be, you can still have handouts for everyone. And we can still have public comments from those, with a short update, you can have a presentation paper, but I think the fire presentation, what you gave. Just to know what we're gonna do, and then agendize you for the next,
For the next one,
which will be
in
in
February.
February, would that work?
Makes more sense even for fire season.
Well,
we're happy to do whatever you
It's-
guys.
I'm looking for, what does the audience think? Does that make sense? That we do the.
Oh, you had your hand up, I know.
I was just gonna say that the biggest problem that I see and that everyone else sees, I guess, it is, you know, nobody knows where the fence is, nobody knows when the fence is gonna be coming in. The problem now, we have horses coming down already, and so the public, first of all, many of them don't know, obviously, as much as we do, because we're like in it
Sure.
short time. And that is a problem, because that's why people are misinformed. They don't understand there's two different fences. So a really good presentation with you and Naomi
Okay.
to let people know would really help a lot.
I don't think the
Okay.
plan is to have a separate one. If you can spare us 5 minutes. we'll
No,
give
I have
someone
a
else
better,
one.
I have another suggestion. Let's formally do the fire and presentation.
First
because
in
we
December,
have
okay.
enough, because people are asking for that. I would like to schedule a community meeting that you can go ride along with you. So instead of riding along with the sheriff, we're gonna ride along with whatever. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because I don't know enough about it. And so if it's a 3-hour tour, we'll put a community meeting that
Yeah,
right
which is
along.
not, yeah, I was
Not-
gonna say,
not
not
you,
huge meetings, I don't do, but.
No,
most
not
definitely
you,
can.
not you, Sally, but I'm talking Brad, you get council person Naomi Dewar, and we get the commissioner. Figure out something that we can really go out, show the folks where the fence is, what we're talking about. Because reading it on paper is one thing, but actually standing and watching this and going, oh, that's what you're talking about. So does that kind of make sense? So we don't have to wait till February?
I would agree with that because the fence is supposed to it's already supposed to be done.
Okay, so can you do that offline? Let us know and then we'll get the word out. And then, Chief, we're gonna have a presentation, whatever you presented, for us in December. And that way we can publicize those two events coming from this cab, that we're proactive, we're taking issues, what our community, that will also fulfill your commitment, Pete, of having a community meeting, okay? Commissioner Clark is gonna have his town hall meeting. That's another venue we could be on his agenda. I think it's November 17th. He's gonna have a community meeting, town hall over at the church. That's another opportunity we can be there if you want to do something like that.
Big time, you might want to think about that offline. And the reason it being, again, we send our little reports to.
We're still in the middle of this meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We're
so
We're still in this
So we
meeting.
need to.
so we need to move
finish
on
this
because it's
meeting
now gonna be,
Before we go offline.
right,
We
so
need-
thank you, Sally.
All right.
So Brad will do it after night. All right. Moving on. Anything else from the board member announcements, requests, discussion?
Yeah, there was one point if I may. Kelly was mentioning that, the horses are already coming down. It's the season, you know, if you look at it, the trees,
Okay. Mhm.
in the last 15 minutes, they turned brown, right? And that was record fast for me. And so the horses are coming down, so they're coming down a slot that is currently unprotected. So I think there's going to be a movement afoot. We're gonna get something going that with the fencing, since it has not yet started,
Okay,
to have them consider changing the order in which they put it in.
well, that's something that's not in this committee. It's now 4:45. And
We still have.
we need to still have general public comments and whatnot.
I don't know, I had you back there.
Okay.
Next. Okay, Marge, do you have anything to add? Okay, thank you. So let's go to general public comment. Anyone would like to speak?
I'll just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome. Anything else, chief? Nothing? Thank you for staying here. And if you have any subjects you would like to see on the agenda, please reach out to me, okay? And so that we can agendize, get things going. We want to listen. I know we have a lot of development here. We're gonna work on those developments to see if we can get some ideas and educate our community about what we can do, et cetera, on that. Anything else at this point?
Motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second, do you have a second? Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Hey, Marge, on the floor, you dropped the ring.
Yeah, I know that I did. I was going to wait until
okay, thank
I
you.
was waiting.
my fingers are all.
What's very
No.
Sorry. I'm not that persistent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sal.
Very good.
Thank you.
Did this turn off?
Is it okay?
Thank you very
We're good?
much.
I wanna be sure. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the vice chair. I did everything. Yeah, we need to stop here. Okay, so, okay, we'll do that, and then you have to. The other side is you want. What is, where you guys? Normally. Oh, you go over forward record. I'm the same with like that and out. I keep a copy of everything. But this one, I just want to be sure that we're the farms that do all those. Folks, and maybe. And then to do it. I have those. Hey. All right, we're gonna go, we're gonna do this.
Well, during my last meeting, one of the.
Is this office?